So, caste-based census. Why is it in news? Because in Bihar is releasing the findings of its caste survey, has once again renewed the demand for a caste-based census at the national level. Okay. So now Bihar has released its caste-based survey. That means our state has released its caste-based survey. So there is a national demand, which again rose on demanding the census based on caste. Okay. So now, before going to caste-based survey, let's first see what is a census. Okay. So what is a census? As you know that census happens every 10 years. Okay. It determines the number of people in a country, right? Census or enumeration of people living in the country. It is done in India every 10 years. Okay. Now, when was it developed? That is the next question, right? So, a systematic and modern population census in its present form was conducted non-synchronizing between 1865 and 72. Okay. First form of census occurred during the British era. That is between 1865 and 1872. But though the census, it was form of a census only because it was not a uniform one. It was not exercised in every part of the country. It was isolated exercise. That is in some part of the country only. And that too in a non-synchronized way. Clear? So we can trace the census history in from 1875, 65 to 75 times. Okay. Now, when we say about the synchronized survey or the synchronized census, first synchronized census occurred in 1881. Okay. This was during the 1865-71 times, there was census. We can trace the exercise of census, but it was not in a uniformed manner. That means it was not conducted all over the India. But when during the 1881 time, all over India, the census and a uniformed census was conducted. Clear? Since then, census have been undertaken uninterruptedly once in every 10 years. Okay. But we can see that during the last, I think, 2 classes, we have studied about the delimitation commission, right? In that also, we are using the census of 2001, right? Why? COVID 2021 census data is not available. 2000, that is why we are using 2011 census, right? So in the 2011 census is delayed due to the pandemic, and its results are expected to be released by 23-24. Clear? Okay, this is about the census mainly. Okay. Now, why census is required? That is our first question. So we have traced the history of census. We have identified that even the Britishers are involved, or Britishers were the first one who were involved in the bringing census in India, right? So what is the need of the census? What will be the need of the census? Population. Okay. If we say in terms of British, what they wanted is that they believe that if they want to rule someone, or if they want to rule an area, they need to understand each and every corner of the area. Okay. Mainly people. Why? Because we have different terrains, different geographical area, different types of people, mostly diversity, right? The south, north, east, west, all are different. So what the Britishers wanted, they want to first study about the people in India, or for that matter, any country which they colonize. Okay. So the ideology of the Britishers to develop census was that to identify or to study about the people they will be ruling about. Okay. So in that manner, we can in short say that to identify the population, the diversity of the country. Okay. Right. That the first is development. So after independence, also we continued census. Okay. Why we continued census? Because if we identify, first one is regarding planning purposes. if we identify the population correctly regarding the development in an area. For example, if we identify, if we compare Northeast with the other part of India, example, South India, the development is entirely different, right? Is South India or Northeast, development of Northeast and South India same? No. Northeast is very much underdeveloped, right? So for taking up or for developing policies for the planning purposes, we need census, right? So development of planning purposes. Census is the source of primary data pertaining to demography. Demography means population distribution of an area. Okay. Social and economic characteristics of the population. Okay. How they are socially developed. Whether they are, okay, if an area contains more number of scheduled castes, means they need a separate planning procedure unlike the rest of the part of the country, right? If an area contain more of the scheduled tribe, tribals always have a different type of society, right? They are usually different from the mainstream society of India, right? Tribals have their own society, their own economic conditions. Are developing itself as a different society, right? But what we needed to integrate the diversity in the tribals as well as to the mainstream society, right? For that purposes, we need to identify the differences as well. So the census data will validate or help in developing these planning purposes. Clear? So first we can understand the demographic data. Next one is for the social and economic characteristics of the population. It is essential for effective planning and formulation of policies at all levels. Clear? Okay. Second one is assess national progress. Okay. If we are doing development processes or if we are formulating policies only and we are the uh, conducting different programs or schemes based on the policies, but there is always a need of checks, right? Unless we don't have like checks for determining the progress in any area, we can't actually decipher what is the need or what are the further requirements in that area, what can we do to improve it, what are the backlashes in it, or what are the problems or limitations with it. Okay, like that we need to understand or analyze the uh, existing area. Okay, mainly in the development scheme or existing area of the how population is. Okay, so analyze the progress of the country. For that also census is needed. Clear? Census is basis for reviewing the country's progress in the past decade. Okay, why past decade? Because in every 10 years we are conducting census, right? So we can compare the development in the previous decade with the next decade. Okay, monitoring the ongoing schemes of the government and planning for the future. Clear? Okay, next one is the learning about special population groups. Special population groups like, see, we have in society, we study about vulnerable sections, right? Who all come under vulnerable sections? SC, ST, OBCs, tribal community come under STs, then economically weaker sections. Okay, then denotified tribes. Okay, then, okay. See, in general, the perspective of people is like only the economic background of people is considered to be having vulnerability. Okay, it's not like that. Not only economic vulnerability is considered, even the social vulnerability is also considered. Vulnerable section means every group who need a upliftment. Okay, who need a hand for their upliftment in the society. So in that way, vulnerable sections mainly include children, women, old age, disabled people, or Divyangjan. Okay, disabled people are now addressed as Divyangjan. Okay, Divyangjan, SCs, STs, OBC, etc. So it's not like only economic criteria is considered. Social criteria is also considered. Okay, So in that manner, the vulnerable sections are children, women, uh, old age people, elderly, Divyangjan, SC/STs, EWS, like that you told, economically weaker sections. Okay. So each of the sections need separate intervention for their development, right? So to identify what is the major purpose of the identification? To develop plans or schemes for their development, right? So if we identify that women are the vulnerable group, okay, we can develop many schemes. Okay. For example, if maternal leaves are not allowed before, right? So we develop maternal benefit scheme for them. Okay. So also like that, many schemes were developed for them. Okay. So to identify or to have special care for each vulnerable sections also, analysis of this data is important. Clear? That is the next importance of why census is needed. Learning about special population groups. Who are the special population group? Children, youth, women, disabled, etc. Okay. Even tribes, SCs, all are involved, which can help in designing programs and policies to their welfare. Clear? Even transgenders are also considered to be special groups. That is why we are developing Garima Grah, etc. Garima Grah, do you know that? Do you know about Garima Grah? Okay. They are like rehabilitation centers for them. Okay. We are developing, or we are also trying for their social upliftment. Okay. All this data is regarding, or all this specific schemes are developed from the data we get from the census. Clear? Next one is for research purposes. For research purposes mainly, see, India is a diverse country. We have diversity in terms of geography, we have diversity in terms of society, we have diversity in terms of economic standing of the people, etc. Right? So, as we said, we need to formulate different policies for their development, right? So, for developing policies, what we need to first research about them, right? What are the nuances? What are the limitations? What can be done to improve their status in the society? What can be done in a particular area with the use of local resources there? Okay. As we know that India has a different geographical area, right? See, if this is India, this is coastal line, right? Here, Deccan Plateau with black soil, mainly for the purpose or mainly important for the cultivation of cotton. Okay. This is coastal lines. Here we have desert in the Rajasthan area. Then in the Ran of Kutch, okay, we have grasslands. So in different areas, we have different, even in the northeast. Northeast also we have, and we have Himalayas like that of in Jammu Kashmir, etc. Okay, we have different terrains, right? So if we, for example, if we have to develop like Karnataka, means we can use the coastal arena or coastal benefit of the Karnataka for their development. Okay, by harnessing fishing industries for, or by example for improving the fishery sector. Okay, so by understanding each and every part of the India in terms of its geography, in terms of its social diversity, in terms of its economic diversity, we can conduct research, and by that, using local resources, we can even formulate better policies and develop them. Okay, so for research purposes also, the census data could be used. Clear? Census provide a rich source of information for carrying out demographic, social, economic surveys and widely used by the national, international agencies, scholars, industrialists, journalists, and many more. Okay. Next one is delimitation of constituencies. What is delimitation? Changing the boundaries of constituencies. Okay. So what is the basis of delimitation? Population. Population is the basis of delimitation. So now only 4 delimitation commissions have been constituted, but still then we use this data, means we get data of the population, right? So we use this data for delimitation, which is responsible for dividing the states into, or dividing the country into different states, and within the states into different constituencies. This is helpful when in the case of elections, right? Okay. So delimitation of the constituencies. Delimitation and reservation of constituencies at various level is done based of the demographic data. How reservation? SCS, SCST, okay. Means if in an area the majority of the population is of scheduled caste or scheduled tribes, then the area will be reserved for a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe candidate. Okay. For reservation also we can use this data. Clear? Okay. So what are the, why census is needed? So as we said before, what is census? Census is analysis of the population of the country. Okay, if in India it is conducted every 10 years. Okay, when is the first time we know about census or census conducted in India? During 1865-75 time, the census were conducted by Britishers, of course, but it was in a non-synchronized way. But in 1881, the census were conducted in a synchronized way for the whole India. Okay, when every 10 years the census are conducted, and recently we use till now we use 2011 census data, because 2021 census data is yet to be released. Okay, what are the purposes of the purpose of census, or why census data is required? First is for formulating policies. Okay, policies, as because it will act as a check. It will help in the analyzing the progress of the country by comparing it with the last decade's data. Okay, then it also helps in addressing the vulnerable sections of the society, because each section of the society need to be addressed separately, as their social upliftment or the status in the society is also different. Then the other purpose of the census is because delimitation of the constituencies. For delimitation or redrawing the boundaries of the constituencies, as well as for the reservation of the constituencies, the census data is used. Then we use census data for research purposes, okay, as to address the different boundaries of the, diversity of the country, along with usage of local resources the country could be developed. Okay, clear? Till now, what we discussed was regarding the census and its importance. Okay. Now, why were we studying this? Because there was a caste census by Bihar. Okay, caste-based census by Bihar. So, caste-based census. This is also conducted by Britishers. Okay. Caste-based census is conducted by Britishers in 1931. Why? What could be the reason? Okay, castes were used as one of the tool of the British for dividing India. It was already prevalent in India before as well, but Britishers once again used or strengthened it for their betterment, to divide India and to create unrest in India. Okay. Britishers conducted and published caste census till 1931. Caste data were collected from census 1941 but not published. Okay. So later, during independence, during independence or after independence, the government was not ready to have published the data based on caste. Okay, the census is mainly done based on the population itself, not based on the caste. Okay, meaning specifically caste-based census were not released, but they felt the need to identify the number of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe people in the country, because they are the people who have addressed most of the, or suffered most of the historical injustice. Okay, majorly of the discrimination. Okay, so the after the independence, Only data released to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe were collected and published. Okay. In 2011, there was a census called socio-economic caste census. Okay. In 2011, there was a census which conducted, and the conducted census was socio-economic caste census. But its report was published later without having the data of the caste. Sorry. Okay. So in 2011, there was a census conducted, and the name was socio-economic caste census. But when its report came, the caste data was not published. Only the social and economic factors of the population, data of the population were published. Meaning, caste census was not published nationally after independence. Okay. Socio-economic caste census (SECC) was conducted in 2011. The data excluding caste data was finalized and published in 2016. However, the caste data has not been released. Clear? States are free to conduct an OBC census. The states can conduct OBC census. Why OBC census? To grant reservation for them. Okay. Karnataka has already conducted a caste-based census at the state level. Earlier, before as well, during the independence, the data about the scheduled types and scheduled castes were already published. So the states were given permission to conduct census only for OBC caste for providing reservation at state level. Okay, clear? Now, what are the constitutional provisions which support the caste census? Okay, Article 340 authorizes the appointment of a commission for socio-economic caste census. Socio-economic backward classes. Okay. Article 340. Article 340 empowers the appointment of a commission to investigate the conditions of socio-economic backward classes. Okay. Then two articles in the DPSP also involved in this, Article 38 and 39. Article 38 says that it authorizes the state to secure a social order for promoting the welfare of people and protect a social order by ensuring social, economic, political justice and by minimizing inequalities in income, status, facilities, and opportunities. Clear? Meaning, the DPSP allows the states to have, or the constitutional provision of Article 38 allows the conducting of a census which for the welfare of the people, okay, to address the injustice, be it socially, economically, or politically. Clear? Now, the next article is Article 39. The ownership and control of the material resources of the community are so distributed as best to serve the common good. Meaning, to identify the population and to distribute the material goods. Clear? So these are the constitutional provisions which support census. First one is Article 340. It allows for the constitution of a commission for socio-economic backward classes. Okay. Next one is two articles in the DPSP. Okay. The first one is Article 39. It supports for the welfare of the people. Okay. Next one is Article 39. It supports for the distribution of goods for a common good. Distribution of common goods mainly. Okay. So these two come under DPSP. Have you studied DPSP? No? Okay. DPSP is something, directive principles of state policy. Okay. The meaning that these are not enforceable by court. Okay. Meaning these are some of the principles given in the constitution which need to be kept in mind by the government when they are formulating some policies. Okay. It's not mandatory for them to follow this principle, But this need to be kept in mind. So that is the reason why it is not enforceable by court. No one can question the government if government is not providing the policies name or principles named in the DPSP articles. Clear? Okay. These are just directives for the government when formulating a policy. Clear? Now, what is the need of caste-based census? First one is, okay, to abolish or to step towards casteless society. Okay, why? Because majorly caste is divided, or the division of caste leads to income inequality or social inequality, right? So by identifying correctly the socio-economic caste distribution in the country and also in the terms of income, we can slowly bring down the differences in the caste. Okay, mainly income. Okay, so identify, ultimately what will it lead to? It lead to a casteless society. Okay, so for the purpose of casteless society. In order to abolish caste, it is essential to first abolish caste derived privileges also. Okay, privileges as well as their nuances, meaning their limitations also. Okay, to do that, state must first map their state caste and their socio-economic status, privileges or deprivations, which is what a caste census seeks to do. Clear? Okay. Next one is absence of empirical data. Meaning, see, we have ideal or correct knowledge about the data of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe because it was published nationally. OBC data is published, or the data publication of the OBC is given to the states. So we don't have that ideal data, correct data regarding the OBC. Okay, so that is one of the reason. Absence of empirical data. There is no clarity over the population of OBC. Okay, there are different assumptions of the OBC population in India. First one, like Mandal Commission says that 52% is OBC population. School enrollment data suggests that 45% is also is only OBC population, meaning there is a discrepancy between the data of by different organizations. Okay, so to correctly identify the data of OBCs, we need a caste-based census. Clear? Now, incoherence in reservation. Okay, so this says that SC's reservation is 15% of Indian population. Okay, in this STs is 7 to 8%. Okay, but this is only for SCs and STs. Like we have a national data, right? So for SCs we have 15% reservation. For STs we have 7 to 8% reservations. But for OBC there is a discrepancy in the national level. Okay, that is the other problem. Such a basis is absent in the case of OBC reservations. Okay, ideally we know that nationally 15% reservation is for SC and 7 to 8% reservation is for ST. But as such, we don't have an adequate data or correct data of OBCs. So that is the reason why we don't have such a basis of OBC reservation nationally. Clear? Next one, addressing rising inequality. Okay. According to World Inequality Report 2022, India stands out as a poor and very unequal country with an affluent elite. Meaning, top 10% of the population holds 57% of wealth, and bottom 50% of the population holds 13% of the wealth. Clear? See this? This is regarding the income inequality. Top 10% of the population have 57% wealth, whereas bottom 50% is having only 13% of the wealth. This is the income discrepancy or the income inequality in the country. Okay, this is a report by World Inequality Report 2022. Okay, so address this also, caste-based. Why? Because many caste-based privileges are given, and historically, as we see, many of the upper caste are having their wealth in a higher rate, right? So to address this also, to identify the causes and also to distribute the wealth, as it is said in the DPSP, we need to know the correct data of the deprived population or caste-based population, right? So it is one of the reason for the need of caste-based census. Clear? Okay. Next one is rationalize welfare effort. That is, less than 1% of the OBC communities have concerned 50% of the reservation benefits. That is, reservation benefits is not ideally reaped by the OBC community. An example or a static state, it's stated by 1% of OBC communities only have concern for 50% of the reservation. Clear? Counting the caste can help in rationalize the government programs and efforts towards welfare of these marginalized OBC communities. Yeah, the main problem with the reservation or with the identification is because nationally we have only data about the SC and ST. Okay, OBC data is based on states. That is why this problem in the correct identification of OBC reservation is occurring. Okay. Next one, make objective decisions on new demands. Okay. That is, many communities, mainly in the OBC section, are demanding for new reservation, etc. Okay. But it could be, if it could be passed or it could be left out, only could be identified after the correct identification of data, right? If we have the correct data on, then only we can say that this community needs reservation or not. Okay, to identify this, to make objective decisions on new demands, several dominant communities in India have been demanding inclusion under the OBC category. So through a census, it is possible to objectively verify such demands. Okay. Then we can say about global examples. That is, US is mainly counts people by race. Okay. And UK based on the origin of its immigrant population. We have global examples that the census, caste census or caste-based analysis is also occurring. It's not like in India is India will be the first country if it is identifying something like that, if it is exercising something like that. Okay. So in, for example, UK is considering count or making the count based on the race. US, UK is based on counting based on the immigrant population, ancestor population. Okay. Now, flawed SCCC data. 2011 is not made public as it is found to be flawed. For example, in Maharashtra, existing SC and SC/ST OBC categories, government records are only 494. But in 2011, caste census yielded 4,28,000 castes. Okay, meaning this the data is flawed. There are inclusion and exclusion errors. In this case, exclusion errors is high. You can see the discrepancy. In Maharashtra, according to socio-economic caste census, only 494 were the people who deserve reservation in terms of SC, ST, and OBC. Okay, but when 2011 census, caste census were made, the total population of SC, ST were nearly 4,30,000. Okay, see the difference? This is a huge difference. There is a huge exclusion of the correct population. Okay, so ultimately, what will it lead to? It will lead to their development. It will lead to hindering in their development. Why? Because if this data is considered, meaning only 494 people need reservation, right? So only 494 people, for them only some schemes were required and only some percentage of reservation is there. Okay, so this huge population will be left out. Clear? So these are the reasons why caste-based census are required. First will be why caste-based census are required? Casteless society, to develop into a casteless society. Why? How? Yes, abolition of privileges and also disruptions as well. Okay, when we consider them, we can ultimately lead to abolish the rising in income inequality. Okay, and thus we can ultimately lead to a casteless society. Right? Income inequality is validated by a report called World Inequality Report, and in that it says that top 10% of the people have nearly 50% of the wealth. Okay, while the reverse is happening when it comes to bottom, like bottom 50% is only having 13% of the wealth. Clear? So the difference is there. So if we could we can abolish that. Okay, the next one is based on if new demands are rising to inclusion of OBC's categories. Okay, to identify the correct amount of people or the correct class of people in the particular category, we need to have an adequate data or a true data. Okay. Also, the socio-economic caste census data was a flawed one. We have seen it with an example, right? Then we do not have a nationally deciphered data for OBC. Only a basis of data is available for SC, ST. That is why overall nationally, if we could say SCs are getting 15% reservation and STs are getting 7 to 8% reservation. But such a reservation basis couldn't be identified in case of OBCs because the national data is not available. Only the states are developing it, and we have different data from different organizations. For example, Mandal Commission, according to Mandal Commission, we have 52% of OBCs, whereas according to school enrollment ratio, only 42% is present. Okay, there is a discrepancy in the data. Clear? Then global examples could also be considered in case if we are looking for a caste-based census. For example, US considers or counts people on the basis of races, and UK considers based on its origin of immigrant population. Clear? These are the reasons why caste-based census could be conducted. Now, what will be the concerns? That is the next analysis. Concerns for over caste census. First one is perpetuation of caste. Okay. Why? Many believe that British census made India's caste system more rigid and prevented previous fluidity that allowed cross-caste movement. Today, opponents argue that caste census would lead to a similar perpetuation of caste identities. Meaning, caste identity will be more emphasized if we consider or we conduct a caste-based census. Okay, there will be more emphasized in caste. Okay, what is one of the manifestation of more emphasis of caste? Have you heard of honor killing? What is that? Yeah, of two different castes. Okay, so it will one of the manifestations or of overemphasis of this caste is honor killing. Okay, like that, many of the it may lead to perpetuation of the caste. Okay. Next one is so perpetuation of caste. Many historians believe that British caste census made India's caste system more rigid and prevented previous fluidity. That means allowed cross caste movement. Today, opponents argue that caste census would lead to a similar perpetuation of caste identities. Clear? Next one is new demands for reservation. Okay, that is when Mandal Commission came, and in the Mandal Commission authorized or accepted the reservation for OBCs. Okay, so mainly new demands for reservation are coming. If caste census is conducted, there may be a case when new reservation based on caste will be demanded. Okay. So if caste-based census comes, there may be a chance that new games around the reservation, like in the case of Mandal Commission time, will come. Okay. Census could alter the current caste equations and bring mandal politics back in play. Fresh demands will be raised for reservation, and it will not be easy to accommodate all these castes and their demands. Okay. Now, next one is breach of reservation limits. Okay. If after caste-based census, what happens? We'll get an adequate share of OBC, right? So currently, it will be either increasing or decreasing from the current number. Okay. So it will further have a problem with the reservation category. The reservation should not be more than 50%, right? So if it increases, there will be more demand for more reservation, right? If decreases also, then also there will be a problem with the existing reservation system. Okay, so that will be a breach of reservation limits. If the share of OBCs increases or decreases in India's population, it would call for restructuring of reservation system and removal of 50% reservation cap introduced through Indira Savani case. This is a judgment on reservation. You'll be studying it in fundamental rights polity in detail. Okay. So it is the Indira Savani case or Mandal case. The reservation, it was a judge, there was a judgment that not more than 50% reservation should be occur in the country. Okay. If we have an adequate data regarding the OBC, there may be an increase or decrease in the existing status quo regarding the reservation. Clear? Okay. Next one is resurgence of violent conflicts. Okay, even when the implementation of Mandal Commission, as I said, that Mandal Commission is responsible for the reservation, allocating reservation. Okay, there was severe conflicts that time as well. Why? Because many groups demand the reservation. Many groups demand that their reservation should be increased. Many groups demand that they should be included in the reservation. Okay, so many kinds of violence were happening. Violent events were occurring at that time also. So if we have an adequate data or if we conduct caste-based census, there may be a chance that these will repeat. Okay, so this is the another thing. Resurgence of violent conflicts. Implementation of Mandal Commission recommendation witnessed several anti-Mandal protests, some of which involved violence and self-immolations. New caste census might trigger similar type of protest and violence. Clear? Okay. Now, polarization of Indian society. Okay. As we know that during the vote time or election time, one of the major manifest or demand from them as a campaigning tool is based on reservation or based on caste. Okay. So if caste census occurs, meaning we have adequate data of based on caste, right? So this could be used as a polarization tool as well. Meaning the campaigners could use this to further improve their vote bank by polarizing the society into different sections. Clear? So this is also one of the concern regarding the caste-based census. Polarizing of Indian society. Reservations have become a major political tool. Political parties, in order to appease vote bank communities, continue to expand reservation. A new census could aggravate this situation and rekindle divisive feelings. Clear? Next one is encourages apathetic governance. Okay. This means that, see, if reservation have come, meaning many schemes for their upliftment are used by the government. Okay. So this may not be in a uniform way. If we have a data based on the caste, means the government will be addressing only that. They won't be addressing the overall development for poverty elevation. They will be using the affirmative actions. Affirmative action is something which we are used for improving the state of some sections of the society, right? So if the caste census are getting, the reservation will be based on that, right? So more affirmative actions for reservations will be done. Overall, the overall development of the society will be hindered. That is one of the concerns. Okay. encourages apathetic governance. Affirmative action was designed to correct the historical wrong in the certain groups experienced for centuries. Historical wrong means only some part of the some sections of the society, like upper caste was having what was having an advantage in the earlier sections, earlier society. Why? Because the lower caste was discriminated and they were not able to access any of the common goods. Okay, so this is historical wrong, okay, or historical injustice. However, governments, instead of taking reformative efforts towards development, they have come to use reservation as a poverty alleviation and employment measure. Clear? Okay. Next one is absence of caste registry. Okay. So there is no caste registry. So that means that there is no way to aggregate or segregate the same or similar caste with variant spellings. Okay. Meaning there is no compact registry for the castes. Okay. So this means that this will further aggravate the division based on caste. Clear? There is no uniform registry of castes in India. Hence, there is no consistent way to aggregate or segregate same or similar castes with variant spellings. Conducting a caste census without this could result the ballooning of caste categories. Clear? There will be only increasing in the caste numbers. There will be only increasing in the division among the caste members, but it will further encourage the division among the castes. Clear? Okay. So now we addressed about the concerns related to caste-based census. First is, what are the concerns related to caste-based census? What will happen if caste-based census will be conducted? Perpetuation of caste will occur. Okay, there will be more inequality or division in the society based on perpetuation of caste. Then new demands will occur based for reservation. So it will further lead to violent conflicts. Okay, similar situation was faced on the Indira Savani time case or Mandal Commission time. Okay, now next one, political polarizing of the society will occur. Okay, next one is there is no caste registry in the country, uniform caste registry in country. This will further aggravate the caste division in the country. Okay, next one is there will be an apathetic governance. Apathetic governance means mainly reservation based governance will be occurring. Okay, then new demands. Yes, new demands. We address that also. Okay, clear? Caste census clear? Okay, so we just talked about census. Census was uniformly introduced by the Britishers in 1881, and in India it is conducted in every 10 years. Okay, why we need census? Because to formulate policies by addressing the divisions of the country based on geographical, social, economic. Okay, then constituencies, delimitation commission, reservation of the constituencies, etc. Then also to address the demands of the different population, etc. Okay, so caste-based census. Now caste-based census meaning 2000 earlier also caste-based census was present, but during the independent time only the data regarding the SC and ST were published. OBCs were not published, and states were given the power to conduct their own census for OBCs. Okay, so this caused a problem because if we see the at the national level, only the data for SC/ST reservation is seen, and no basis of the reservation of OBC is seen. Okay, so it will lead to problems like polarization of the society, new demands for new caste, and increase in income inequality, etc. Okay, clear?